Good morning, everyone. Eric Olsen from Helps Law Firm for Seniors and Disabled. Welcome to Helps YouTube Live today, March 11th, 2025. Glad to have you here. Once again, my name's Eric. I've been an attorney for 46 years, the founder of Helps. Helps is a national law firm. We represent seniors and disabled persons who owe debt they can't afford to pay to stop collectors from harassing them, and we educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. Let me know if you can hear me okay. I'm glad to have you here. Um, and if you have a question or a comment, you can put it in on the comment feature on the YouTube channel, and I'll try to address it. We always like to have a topic at the beginning. And today I think it's like seniors scared of debt, something like that. Okay, and it came from a comment I think someone made on our YouTube page, and I'll read it to you. I can't tell you how scared I have been about losing my Social Security. Since I cannot work like I used to, I am 76, 78 and disabled. I have a hard time standing and walking. You're not going to lose your Social Security. Social Security is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. You know, there's obviously financial problems with things, but our lawmakers know, I don't care what party they're on, that Social Security is one of the very bulwark of our society, and it's necessary for seniors. A lot of seniors, that's their sole means of support. Without Social Security, our society it would be terrible. And so it's not going to go away, okay? Don't need to worry about that. When I read this, I thought about how Social Security started, and I've told this before, but we always have new listeners, and it's worth repeating. The Great Depression happened in 1929, and although I don't remember it, of course, because I wasn't born then, but my dad grew up in it, and my grandfather on my mother's side told me all about it. He raised 6 kids during the Great Depression, and very, very extremely difficult time for him and his family, but they hung in there. And so when the Great Depression happened, before the Great Depression, there was no Social Security. And the way society worked is that, families took care of their parents, and it was a lot more cohesive society that way. But when the Great Depression happened, fathers who had children, lost their jobs, and they were struggling to take care of their children, let alone watching out for their parents. And so when Roosevelt got elected, he chose for his cabinet secretary a woman, the first woman cabinet secretary in history. Her name was Frances Perkins, and she was his Secretary of Labor in New York State. A lot of people don't know this story, but Frances Perkins agreed to serve for Roosevelt as long as he would support her if she put forth a program to be able to help seniors that weren't able to help themselves. That she knew that there was this problem in society, that there were so many seniors out there that their families couldn't help them anymore, and there had to be a system to be able to support them. And then, he said yes under one condition: it can't be a dole. We just can't give them money. They got to work for it. And so that's how the Social Security system started. Is that seniors would start putting money into Social Security, and that money would be available to them when they got older, when they aged. Now, of course, the seniors that were on Social Security at the very beginning, they had put money in it before. So, for a number of years, those seniors, they got more than they ever put in. Let's put it that way. So Frances Perkins didn't quite know how to do this idea. There had been some thoughts from Europe on how to support seniors and what to do. but she didn't really know quite what to do. And so she actually made it a matter of prayer. And she went to she wasn't Catholic, but she went to some convent on the weekends and a lot of times. And there she would, ponder and think on what can I do to be able to help seniors that are struggling financially. She had a husband that was disabled that she was caring for too. She actually served from 1933 to 1945. What is that, 12 years? 34, yeah. One of the longest serving cabinet members ever. Okay. A long time. She served up to Roosevelt's death. Well, anyway, she came up with this idea for Social Security, and it was passed in I think it was 1934 or 1935, okay? And it's been in existence ever since. And part of the bulwarks or the supports of Social Security is that it couldn't be taken from people. So if you happen to owe debt, no one could garnish or take your Social Security. And that's the way it is today. It's safe. It's for your needs. We have a lot to be grateful for Frances Perkins for doing this. Roosevelt got all the credit, but she did all the work. I've got a picture, I don't know, it's not here, but it's hanging on a wall somewhere, of Frances Perkins signing the bill. Roosevelt signing the bill. And he's surrounded by all these men, and then there's little Frances Perkins, and she was the one really responsible for getting this passed. So I'm thankful for Frances Perkins because I talk to seniors every day that really rely on Social Security. And like this person, I can't tell you how scared I have been about losing my Social Security since I cannot work. Okay, Frances Perkins lived for a number of years afterwards, and I remember she gave a talk in the early 60s. And I've read that talk, and she talked about how Social Security was here to stay. It wasn't going to go anywhere. And what she said was right on. It is just the bulwark of our society. Social Security is not going to go anywhere. Now it may be modified like it has been and be changed, but we're going to be able to rely on Social Security. And that's one reason maybe some of the politics that are happening now, they want to do finances such so that Social Security will be there and be solid and be for us. But the lawmakers know that it has to be there. Okay, all our lawmakers, they have grandparents and they have parents and they have uncles and aunts that are elderly that don't rely on Social Security. They have constituents. I guarantee you they know how important Social Security is. So don't be scared about losing your Social Security. It isn't going to happen, and it's there for your needs. If you owe debt and someone sued you and got a judgment, they can't take your Social Security. Okay, now what about it when it goes into your bank account? Okay, in 2012, a rule was passed that tells banks that if they get rid of garnishment, they have to examine your bank account, where money came from that was deposited in your bank account. And if you got money from a federal source such as Social Security, twice that sum is automatically protected by your bank from garnishment, even if there's money in there that came from some other source. So if you get $1,500 in Social Security, $3,000 in your bank account is protected automatically from garnishment, regardless of what other funds are in there or where they came from. So your Social Security is safe, and that includes like VA benefits, is a federal benefit, federal retirement, U.S. Post Office, railroad worker. But what if you have a pension or something like that? Is that safe? Yes, it is. In 1974, a law was passed called ERISA, Employment Retirement Income Security Act of 1974, that protects your pension from garnishment. Most pensions are protected under ERISA, but if it's not protected under ERISA, there's a state law that will protect your pension from garnishment if someone were to sue you and get a judgment. I've been in practice since 1978, 40,000 bankruptcies, and then helps for the last 14 years. Tens of thousands of seniors that we represent. I've yet to see a senior lose their pension. It's not going to happen, so you don't need to worry about that. So once again, put your comments in the chat feature, and I'll try to address them. Okay, When I went to my bank, they tried to tell me I had to pay for money orders when I never had to pay for them maybe before. I want to know if they told me I was in the wrong account and had put me in another. I don't know. Um, I guess, a lot of banks charge for a money order or a cashier's check. Some don't. Just depends on your bank. It's not going to affect your help from helps if you have money in money orders. No. April asks, I take care of my mom. We are both get Social Security and have a joint banking account. If we stop paying debt, should we have separate bank accounts? Uh, no, you don't need to. If you both have joint checking accounts and Social Security goes into it, if someone were to sue either one of you and got a judgment and they happen to serve your bank, all of which is pretty unlikely, you may never get sued, but if they did, how are they going to find out where your bank? But if they did, if they filed a writ of garnishment on your bank account, then the bank would examine your account and they could see that Social Security came from you and your mom, and say your mom got 1,500 and you got 1,000. That's 2,500 times 2, 2,500 in the account would be protected from garnishment. Twice the amount of whatever federal benefits you get in the account. It doesn't matter whose name is on the account. You could have someone else's name on the account. All the bank has to worry about is twice the amount of federal benefits is protected automatically from garnishment, regardless of what other funds are in there. Okay? Yeah. One more thing about Frances Perkins. Well, I don't know. I think I told you this. Yeah, she would go on a retreat and really ponder about what to do. I mean, she always felt that she had divine guidance in coming up with the idea for Social Security and putting it forth and drafting the law. Okay. This person contacted us from Ohio. It says, I'm on disability. I get $1,600 a month. My husband passed away, looks like about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And he was the main breadwinner. He says, I've been struggling since then, and in the past 3 months stopped making payments on my credit cards, upon which I owe approximately $16,000. My sister gave me your number and thought you might be able to help. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, we can help you. So this is a senior that's getting Social Security, $1,600 a month. They have $16,000 in debt. They don't know what to do. They stopped paying it. The creditors are probably starting to call her, sending her demand letters. Can make life miserable. Okay, what happens when a senior finds out about helps? They call us on the phone. We ask them some questions. Like how much they make, where they live, how they found out about helps. Are they married or single? Are they buying their home? Are they renting? Buying a car, own a car. Do you owe any taxes? Do you owe any student loans? How much you get in social, what's your source of income? Social Security, whatever. Has anyone sued you? And then we read you what we do. And what we explain to you is that your Social Security, your pension, your disability, your VA benefits, retirement income of virtually any form, 401k, IRA, private retirement forms, is protected by federal law. It can't be taken from you, okay? It's safe. And we explain that there's a federal law called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that provides if you're represented by an attorney, debt collectors can no longer call or send demand letters to you anymore. They have to leave you alone. So that's what HELPS does. When people find out about us and they decide they want our help, they enroll in HELPS, they give us the creditors to whom they owe money to, and then we send out a cease and desist letter that explains to the creditor that our client can't afford to pay the debt anymore. Okay, and they're not to contact them anymore, and so the communication stops. It dries up, and you don't have to worry about being hounded by debt collectors anymore. Now, it's possible you could get sued. If you get sued, you get us a copy of the lawsuit. You usually just need the first couple pages. We're going to send a letter to the attorney that sued you. We're going to let them know that your income is protected by federal law and that you can't afford to pay it, and you're not going to pay it. We understand they're going to get a judgment, but remember, they can't collect from you. We're going to call you on the phone and remind you to keep your bank account less than twice the amount of your Social Security in there or your federal benefit. But even if you happen to have more than that in there, it's still protected, just not automatically. Paperwork could be filed to get that money released. Okay? Most people don't have more than twice the amount in, but you don't need to worry. And then we're also going to let you know that, when you enroll in help your client ongoing, it's not just one time, literally for the rest of your life. So if you ever have a worry or concern, you pick up the phone and you call, no matter how often. Okay? Maybe if you have an RV that you can't afford, we'll explain how that's going to go back. Or if you have a car that you can't afford any longer, or what you can do about transportation or housing issues, things like that. See, our second mission, in addition to protecting you from collector harassment, is to educate seniors how they can maintain their financial independence. Okay? We don't represent people in court. Our clients don't need to go to court. Okay? Now, if they want to go to court, they can, but they don't need to. If they're sued for a debt, you could contest the debt if you want, but if you owe the debt, it may not be worthwhile to do that because you're going to lose. But if you want to, you can. We don't help people do that because our clients don't need to contest the debt, because even if there's a judgment against them, they can't be collected. They're what's called judgment proof. So that's what we do. Okay, so we're going to be able to help this lady in Ohio. So this is a comment that someone put on, I think, yesterday's YouTube video. This is, so when I talk about how money is protected in your bank account to which Social Security is deposited, they said, so you're not allowed to have a savings account? If you own a home, are you going to need a savings account in case of emergency? Well, okay, you can have a savings account. The only time there's a problem is if you got sued and someone had a judgment. And then they happen to know where you bank. Then they could garnish that your bank account, and they could take money out of the account into which Social Security isn't deposited. But then you could file what's called a challenge of garnishment or claim of exemption with the bank to have that money released. But you'd have to be able to show the court that the money in that savings account came from your Social Security or from your protected funds. You get so very little money interest on savings accounts. Sometimes, if you're worried about this, if someone has a judgment, it might be better to save it some other means. Okay? So you can have a savings. You don't even have to worry about money being taken out of your bank account unless someone were to sue you and get a judgment. And if you were sued, that doesn't mean they can take out money the next day. They'd have to get a judgment, and sometimes that would take a month, 2, 3, or 4 months. It takes a while before they get a judgment. So when you get served with papers with a lawsuit, nothing bad's going to happen right that instant. Okay? You call us on the phone. We don't want you to worry. Do I think there'll be long delays in getting Social Security direct deposits? No, I don't. It's done automatically. Everything I've read about this DOGE or this government efficiency is a large part of what they want to do is make government more efficient. A lot of maybe our governmental systems are based on old patterns and old systems. They want to get things computerized and have it more automatic. So, maybe things will be faster. Okay? Okay. What happens after you get notified that you have a default judgment against you? Well, not a lot. Depends on the state where you live. Okay? Some states have court proceedings after there's a judgment where an attorney that has the judgment, that got the judgment against you, can can ask you questions, send you something in writing for you to fill out a form or something like that. And for example, in Florida, there's a thing called a financial information sheet. If you get a judgment against you in Florida, the attorney's going to send you this 4 or 5 page form called financial information sheet that is filled out, that is originated from a court. Some clerk in the court developed this form, and all the attorneys send it to people that have judgments and ask you certain questions about, where you work, what do you own, things like that. And they even ask for your kids' names and addresses. So I tell people that I don't think there's no need, you don't need to fill that, don't need to answer that. It's none of their business. And then you fill that out and return that to them. And other courts have some other courts have forms that you fill out, but the majority don't. So usually when there's a default judgment, that means they have a judgment against you. You can let us know. We don't necessarily need a copy of it. If you're a member of HELPS, we've already let you know that your income is protected. They can't do anything. So, but if you do get paperwork that you're concerned about after a judgment, you need to let us know. We'll tell you what it is and tell you what needs to be done about it. Okay? But you're going to be okay. You're okay. If you're getting Social Security, pension, retirement income, it's protected. Can't be taken from you. Before HELPS, I answered a debt collector call, and he was mean and nasty. I told him his company can absorb the loss better than I can. That made him mad. I hung up. Well, good. That was good. Yeah. I could tell you stories. Okay, when I was doing bankruptcy years ago, not dealing with seniors, sometimes I talk to young people that had debt, and maybe they weren't working, or they had very minimal income, And some creditors would call them and be unmerciful and threatening them. And I remember one time, sometimes I would tell, and sometimes you get creditors, these debt collectors, they just, I used to say sometimes that it was like when they go to work, they'd give them raw steak to eat to get them all worked up so they could be mean to people. And sometimes I tell seniors, or tell people that were owing debt, maybe they didn't need to file bankruptcy right then, or it was going to be a while before they file, and you could just tell the debt collector what was their ultimate threat. Their ultimate threat was to sue them and get a judgment. And that's the same with the senior. Their ultimate threat is to sue you and get a judgment, what they can't collect from you. Well, okay, and that was the ultimate threat for a younger person too. They can call and harass you about debt, but their ultimate threat was to sue you. So sometimes I tell the people, I say, well, just tell them if they're on the phone, just say, sue me. And if they start saying, well, Mr. Jones, you need to talk respectfully to me. You have this debt, you're responsible for it. And, you really need. Then I'd say, just tell them, sue me. Just say, sue me, sue me, sue me. I said, sometimes you can act like a crazy person. Just repeat, sue me, sue me, sue me, sue me. Eventually they're going to get the message that you can't be intimidated. But if you're a senior, you don't need to worry about that. Okay, if you're a member of HELPS, if they were to call you, you tell them, I'm represented by HELPS. You give them our name and number and tell them not to call you anymore and hang up the phone. And then you make sure we've got their contact information. We're going to send them a letter. They're going to leave you alone. My neighbor had work done on the home, had a lien put on it, but the home was in mom's name. She passed away. Now, is the daughter liable for the lien debt? Now, possibly. You'd have to talk to us about that. Or you file to fill out their paperwork after they get a judgment. I live in Texas. Well, you get, it depends. We usually tell people that if they get these forms that you have to fill out, yeah, they need to be filled out. We can help people with it to some degree. The reason is the information you put down is going to tell the creditor that it's worthless for them to pursue it. So if you ignored it, then they might choose to pursue it more. And the whole goal is to get them to leave you alone. Okay? I purposely ordered groceries on a 4-month payment plan after the first payment. I canceled the credit card. Can I be arrested? No. No, you can't. No. I'm so sorry for doing that. I was just very hungry. I used to have people come into me when I was doing bankruptcies, and maybe they weren't going to be filing bankruptcy for 3 or 4 months, or maybe even longer for whatever reason. And they asked me, well, can I still use my credit card? And I tell them, I said, well, you're going to be bankrupting on it. I mean, you're not going to pay it. And I guess it's up to you. Your conscience tells you, should you use it or not? And then they would struggle, and sometimes they would say, I could tell they wouldn't know what to do. And then I said, well, I guess my personal opinion is, I said, it's just my personal opinion. It's up to you what you do. Is, if you need the money for gas to be able to go to work to support your family, or for food, I could understand why you might need to use that credit card, even though you're ultimately not going to be able to pay it. That's just my personal opinion. Okay. Okay. So this person contacts us from Kentucky. I have a debt collector after my unpaid medical, because of my unpaid medical expenses. I'm surviving solely on my Social Security disability, continue needing medical care. I have no insurance, no Medicare, and will not be 65 till September. If Medicaid is even helpful. I've watched most of your YouTube videos working to see how the cease and desist works. Thank you. And we're going to call him. So I'm assuming he's on Medicaid that would pay for his medical expenses, and so he's not going to worry about ongoing medical expenses, but he doesn't need to worry about the old medical bills. Social Security is going to take care of those. I mean, Social Security is going to be protected, so he's not going to have to worry about paying those. So this person contacts us from Florida. They have a judgment that was about 7 years ago. They get Social Security and make a little bit of income on the side. Okay. He says he makes $14 an hour, works 16 hours a week. He has a mobile home that he lives in on land. They're still making payments on it. So he was worried about his wages being garnished. Okay? So if you take 14 times 16, it's $224. Okay, that's the gross he would make every week. Okay? Every single state, there's a federal law in every state that covers every state that protects a minimum of $217.50 net per week in wages. Now, what's net? That's after taxes are paid. So if this guy makes $14 an hour for 16 hours a week, and he's grossing $224, when they take taxes and Social Security and withholdings out on that, he's under $217.50. So we're going to be able to tell him, no one's going to be able to take your wages if they were to sue you and get a judgment. You don't need to worry about being garnished. And a lot of states protect more than that. Some states don't even allow a garnishment of your wages. And no one's going to take his home. He lives in Florida. It's protected. It's safe. He doesn't need to pay his credit card debt. You know, if he wants our help, he can enroll in helps. We're going to send letters to the creditors he owed money to. They're going to leave him alone. He's going to be fine. And we're going to tell him, if you ever have a question, you're worried or scared, you pick up the phone and you call. Because you don't need to be scared. You're going to be okay. Okay. This person contacts us from Kentucky. Back in January. I have a debt I can't pay. It's taking everything I have to keep my kids with clothes. I need help. Please email what you can do. We emailed him what helps does. Keep my kids fed and in clothes. So he's younger, okay? And then he calls us that day. We called him back, or he called us, and an injury prevented him from working. He has two younger children, under 10, or under 12. The wife is filing for disability. She got hurt. She hasn't been approved yet. And he gets a little bit of Social Security for himself and his children. We explained to him how his income was protected. No one could take it. Didn't need to worry. And he called us back earlier this month, a few days ago. He has payday loans he can't pay and a few other unsecured debt. He says he had a law enforcement agent at his door and he will call us back, probably getting served with a summons. See, when you get served with a lawsuit, sometimes a sheriff will do the service. And most, sheriffs that do service, they have what's called a civil deputy. They have a deputy that doesn't involve with arresting people or crime, but he's involved with serving legal papers, okay? So that's the sheriff that was at the door waiting for this guy. Okay. We called him back and told him what we did, explained helps and our fees. He wants to talk with his wife about it when she gets home, and then will call us back. If they decide to change from a credit union to a bank, they will do that and then call us back to enroll when that is done. He has collection letters and they have threatened lawsuits, and he's behind on 2 debts. He wants to keep his car with payments even though he's upside down on it. They own their mobile home on land. It's free and clear. And then he called back maybe today. They're ready to roll. No further questions. He enrolled. Yeah, we're going to send, he's going to give us the creditors or the debt collectors he owes money to. We're going to send him a letter, and they're going to leave him alone. He doesn't need to worry. And if he does have a question, he's going to call us. So this person contacted us from South Dakota. Got a default judgment for about $8,500 from Discover, as well as he got interrogatories, which is a page where the attorney that got the judgment against him is asking questions about his assets, like I explained earlier. We explained it's no need to worry. They're required to be filled out honestly and to the best of his ability. And we sent him an email that talked about that, okay, how that's done. So then he called us later, questions about a bank loan. And then he called us earlier this month, a few days ago, called about the interrogatory he needs to fill out. They want his license plate number and vehicle. Cut in to tell him that the form needs to be filled out correctly and completely. He wants to sign up with us. I asked if he's struggling to pay unsecured debt. Yes. He's worried about the lawsuit. And then he called back It's like yesterday. Wants to know if the court will take his vehicle in a judgment. Um, and he's been looked like he's been paying with a debt consolidation company, or called a credit debt relief. So can they take his vehicle? Okay, highly unlikely. Okay, let me explain. If he owes money on the vehicle, no. Uh, let's say the vehicle's free and clear. If the vehicle's free and clear, states have exemption laws that protect equity in certain property you own, like equity in a home, how much your home is worth, less what you owe, the equity. Okay. Some states don't even allow a home to be touched. It's completely protected. But then some states have exemption laws. They'll protect a certain amount of equity in a car, maybe $2,500, $5,000, $10,000, depends on the state. And then equity in maybe certain household goods and stuff. It's simply not the practice of consumer judgment creditors to try to go after people's homes or other property they have, even if they have equity in the property over the exemption for the state in which they live. They simply don't do it for a number of reasons. Example, why? Maybe the property is owned by a husband and wife, and just the judgment is against the husband. Well, they can't take the property because the wife has an interest in it. Maybe they owe money on the property. Well, they'd have to pay off the person that they owe the money to. They don't know what the property is worth. They have to file special paperwork called a writ of execution. Sometimes they'd have to get a bond. They'd have to hire an attorney to do all this paperwork. And so it's not their practice to do it. Okay. Since Helps was founded in 2012, I think we've had one time when a client lost an equity in a car. And it wasn't that long ago, but I remember looking at the facts and I said, it was a credit union. I said, oh, they're going to lose. By the time they repossess this car, and they go through all this work, and sell that car, that's going to cost them more money, and they're never going to do it again. And that's why they don't do it. They've learned by the rule of hard knocks that it's not worth their while to go after people's property. And then there's ways it could be stopped. So, we're going to tell them that, highly unlikely there's going to be any issue with losing his car. Now, when they send you these forms and they ask questions about that, if you don't know this stuff or you don't know your rights, you're going to be scared and think, oh, I got to pick up the phone and call. They're going to take my assets. Okay, and so that's what Helps is here to do. We're helping to give you, legal information so you know what your rights are. So you don't need to pay a debt that you don't have to pay. My sheriff who serves is so kind. Well, that's nice to know. And I agree. I've talked to a lot of people that have sheriffs that have, and now I just thought of that. I've even had a sheriff one time serve the paper and told this lady to call Helps. Yeah, I forgot about that. Someday, that's going to happen a lot. As we get more known, literally millions of seniors need what we do. Millions, because there's almost half of seniors have incomes within 200% of the poverty line. And they struggle with debt. And the vast majority don't realize their income is protected. They don't know that there's these protections. They don't know about Helps. So they're grateful when they find us. So someday as we get more known, there'll be more sheriff's deputies will tell people, hey, call here, I'm serving you these papers, but call Helps. They're going to be able to help you. One of my creditors continues to call every day, even though you have sent them a letter. I block them, but I keep getting voicemails from them. How can I make this stop? Okay, Patricia, it depends who it is. The Fair Debt Collection Practices Act technically applies to debt collectors, not original creditors. Now, there's I think there's 6 or 7 states who take the federal law and apply it to original creditors as well. But if it's an original creditor, they legally call you. Or if it's, if it's a payday loan, that's an original creditor. They can still call you. We send cease and desist letters out to credit card companies, original creditors, and the vast majority honor our cease and desist letter and won't call you. They'll leave you alone. They can still send you a bill, but they'll stop calling you. But if they continue to call you, let us know. We'll send out a second letter. And a lot of times that stops it. But once in a while we hear stories like yours where they just continue to call. We tell people to block the call. If it's an original creditor, they can't really be sued. Okay? But you be assured that there's nothing they really can do. Okay? So this person calls us from South Dakota. They've been on Social Security disability for, it looks like 16 years. She has a payment plan with their veterinarian. But it says they suddenly demanded all the money. She says, I used to work in a credit counseling, so she's used to sending cease and desist letters to creditors with success, but the veterinarian is difficult. And she has other debts. Went through enrollment, and she enrolled. And so we're going to send a letter to the vet. They're going to leave her alone. She doesn't need to worry about it. She's getting Social Security disability. They can't collect from her. The nice thing about helps is that, we represent people ongoing. So if you have another problem down the road with these creditors or a new debt collector, call us on the phone. That's what we do. We're here to help you. So this person called us a few days ago from Florida. He's 81. Let me read. Sorry, get my glasses on. I can't read this. He's having a problem with a particular creditor that was really handling him pretty bad. And his wife called an hour later, and we explained what we do. And she was very happy to hear what we did. And she said, I want to be part of this too. It says she's a little excitable, but very nice. We completed the intake, read the paragraphs, quoted the fees, and she enrolled. They each have a Mission Lane account that they want to give us. They can't take it any longer. They have their Social Security directly deposited into one joint credit union checking account. They have money in a savings, and we discussed it would be vulnerable to garnishment. No lawsuits yet or judgments at this time. And I emailed her an email that talks about bank account protections, being protected from garnishment. They're very upside down on their vehicle, but they still want to keep it. They own their mobile home free and clear and pay space rent. And she was, this is all caps, very excited to enroll in HELPS. Yeah, they're not going to need to worry about Mission Lane or their other debt collectors. They're in their 80s. They don't need to worry about this kind of stuff. They don't need to worry about that. They can use their money for their food and their medicine and their needs. And I'd say the same thing to you guys. This person says, they repossessed my car in November, and the only thing I got in the mail was if you want to come and get it. I wonder when I'm going to get sued. I live in Illinois on Social Security only. Well, Freedom, you may never get sued. Okay. I think I'm safe in saying that the vast majority of our clients that end up enrolling in HELP don't get sued. I used to be able to, I used to give a percentage, but I don't want to, the other attorneys that help say, stop doing that because some people get sued higher percentage than what you've been saying. So it's possible you get sued. And it could happen a year, 2 or 3 years down the road. It depends on the state. But you may never get sued. But if you do, remember, what's the worst they can do is sue you. And if they sue you and get a judgment, they can't collect from you, so you really don't need to worry. You could have 100 debt collectors sue you, or 1,000. You could owe them $100 million, but they can't take your Social Security or pension. It's protected. Okay? And when you get sued with helps, you're going to get us a copy of the lawsuit. We're going to send a letter to the attorney. We're going to explain you're not going to go to court. We're going to call you on the phone and explain why you don't need to worry. Yeah, and send you emails with links to videos and YouTube videos and articles that explains how your bank account is protected and how your other assets are protected and why you're going to be okay. Okay? Okay, this person calls us again from Florida, a different person. They have credit card debt. They're waiting on Social Security disability, which they applied for several years ago. And they're waiting on a decision. They've had a number of surgeries, and they're going to need more. And she's working very part-time while she's waiting for Social Security disability. They called us back in December. And she said, we'll call back to enroll when she is given Social Security disability. And they called us in January, received a summons for civil court. Unsure which credit card it is, but she recently had to drop out of National Debt Relief for debt consolidation as she is anticipating getting calls, emails, summonses from a bunch of creditors now. Still not approved for Social Security disability. Has a condo that's protected. It's protected under state law. You live in Florida, your home is protected. Doesn't plan to attend a hearing as she is out of state caring for her mother. She may request an extension. Doesn't need to do that. Then she calls us, looks like yesterday. She approved her Social Security disability. Yay. And is receiving next month in April. So is ready to enroll, which we enrolled her. We sent a letter to her creditors. Looks like she's getting regular Social Security, not Social Security disability after all. Okay. So not to worry. This person contacts us from Michigan. I have a lot of debt from January 24. It has been charged off, but now some companies are suing me and I cannot afford to pay. My only income is a small Social Security check, $1,000 a month. Can you help me? Of course we can help you. Yeah. And if you've been listening to me, you know why we can help him. He's going to get us the creditors. We're going to send him a cease and desist. We're going to leave him alone. If he gets sued, we're going to let the attorney know that his income is protected. He doesn't need to go to court. He's going to be fine. So if you're if you're having the same problems that some of the people I'm talking about are having, pick up the phone and call. You don't need to call right now, although you can. 855-435-7787 helps US. 855 helps US or helps us. Okay. We're going to ask you some basic questions and tell you about what we do. You can also get on our internet and look at more of our videos or our webpage. We don't want you to worry. What do we do if the government changes the law and allow debt collectors to garnish Social Security? I'm always thinking, no, it's not going to happen. No way. No way. That's just not in the cards. That is really getting out there on a limb thinking about something that just will never happen. Although Kathy says it's a great question. Okay, you're just going to move to Italy. Yeah. So HELPS was started so that we could answer questions like that. Because I realize some seniors are just, they just worry a lot. Okay, and we always want to be there to be able to answer their questions. So you can always call us on the phone if you're worried. I'm interested in your credit report program, but I don't see it in your website. Well, it's not our credit report program. It's offered by 720 Credit Score with Phil Tyrone. And if you want, you can call us and we can send you an email that talks about the program. It's available for HELPS clients that have been part of HELPS for over 90 days. Okay? I think it's on our YouTube channel too, but it might take a while to find it because we got so many videos there. Speaking of YouTube, I better not say that. We got some exciting news coming up involving another YouTube channel. It looks like we may be doing some YouTube videos like this with another YouTube channel where we do a talk back and forth. Are funds from a defined benefit pension plan protected once they're deposited into your bank account? It depends on the state. But if you get Social Security and whatever monies are deposited in your bank account, if as long as the balance in your bank account is less than twice the amount of your Social Security, then that sum is protected. Now, in almost all states, a writ of garnishment on a bank account, first off, it's someone to have to sue you, get a judgment. They have to know where your bank. All becomes more unlikely as it goes on. Is a snapshot in time. In other words, if a bank gets a garnishment at 10 o'clock in the morning, they look at your bank at 10 o'clock. And if there's less than twice the amount of your federal benefits in there, they rip up the garnishment, so to speak. Let the person that did the company that did the garnishment know that all your income in there is protected. And then at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if the money gets deposited, no, they've already answered the garnishment. Okay. The garnishment of a bank account is generally not ongoing. It's just a snapshot in time. We always have good news that helps. We always give people good news. It's not just... Okay. This person calls us from, let's see where, North Carolina. I live on permanent disability and am struggling to make ends meet. I am over $3,000 in credit card debt and behind on most of my monthly bills. Is there any help for me? Absolutely. Call us. We can help you. That's just such a small amount of debt. It may not cost you anything for us to help you, or a very minimal amount. Okay. You don't need to pay the debt. You don't need to worry about it. Yeah, it doesn't matter how old you are to enroll in HELPS, as long as you're getting protected income like Social Security or disability or VA benefits. It doesn't matter your age. Okay? Now, granted, most of our clients are seniors, but not all. Okay? This person contacts us. I'm currently using HELPS for old debt, but my husband died and I lost more than half my income. I have also recently had a very expensive dental issue, which I am paying on and have to continue paying. All this and an increase in heating, water, and food. Just can't do it all. I need your help again. Well, yeah, if you're a HELPS client, it's not, I need your help again. We're always there for you. So if you ever have a question that comes up after you enroll in HELPS, you call us on the phone. If you have a new debt that you're not able to pay, you let us know. We'll talk to you about it and what can be done. Often you're not going to need to pay it. We can send a cease and desist letter out to that new debt collector. You're not going to need to worry about it. Okay. This person contacts us from Florida. When sending you information concerning my wife's account, can I use the last four of her credit card numbers? Yeah, that's usually what we need. We don't usually need the full amount, your full credit card numbers. Usually the last four digits are enough. Really doesn't matter. And how do they send it? You can get us your information. You can mail it. Most people either email it, text it. So you can take a picture with your phone and text it to us, or take a picture of your phone and email it to us, fax it to us, or mail it by U.S. mail. Whatever's easier for you. We make it easy for people. So this person contacts us as we're winding down here. They say, your videos are amazing and really reduce stress from the uncontrollables. Well, good. That's what we want, to reduce stress for people. Thank you. My issue is I'm being sued by a debt collector, Crown Asset Management. I have filed an answer and have a court date on March 21st. I don't know if I qualify as a senior, but I'm 64 and have had to file for early Social Security benefits after illness. And he's talking about defending the lawsuit. Wants to know more about us. Well, okay, we don't help people defend lawsuits, but I can tell this person right now is, he's on Social Security benefits. He owes the money. He doesn't need to defend the lawsuit. They can get a judgment they can't collect from him. He's not going to need to worry. And I'd say that to you too. You're not going to need to worry. So, thanks for participating today. Let me see if there's any more questions before we wrap this up. Looks like we've done them. Please press the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. The more people that subscribe, the more people that watch us, the more people that like the videos, the more Google's algorithms spread it out to more seniors that find out about us. And people find out about us more from YouTube than any other source. So thanks for participating today. Thanks for your questions. And if you have any more questions, you can always call us direct. You can put comments on the comment part of the YouTube channel or questions, and I try to look at those and address those. So have a great day, and we'll talk to you later tomorrow, same time. God bless. Bye.